The lesson.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, look, man, I guess, on that, on the topic of, obviously EDM and hip hop are completely different genres.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I said, I spoke to Chronic a while back, who originally started off in hip hop R&B, and he went off and merged into EDM. And I think now he's kind of back on the urban tip a bit as well. I mean, even though EDM's been your thing, has there been much, influence of hip hop tunes, whether it's with your production or just as a person growing up listening to music?
Back when I was growing up, I didn't really listen to EDM music. I didn't really even like it. Or I guess whatever it was called, like dance or whatever. I used to listen to like drum and bass and like West Coast hip hop, like
NWA and shit like that, and
dude.
Dr. Dre and Snoop
Dre
and
and
stuff like
Snoop. That was what I was about. And then I don't know. I think it was when I kind of started going out to town and partying and stuff. Then you kind of get exposed to dance music. But yeah, as a kid, man, I was all about like drum and bass or hip hop.
Yeah,
it was one or the other.
And then, so when it came to your producing, did you find that any sort of hip hop stuff influenced your EDM production at all?
Yeah, a little bit, man. Early days, I think, like back when when myself and Brad Lee were DJing at Apple Bar, we made like our sets would kind of be like crossover hip hop. Wasn't
I remember
even EDM
that
at the time, but we'd do like bootlegs of like Hoods, and then like have a bootleg of like Dr. Dre
and Biggie Smalls and
then
shit.
Biggie Smalls. Like it would just be like kind of back and forth between the two, because both of us, like, that's kind of what me and Brad clicked on musically. We just both liked hip hop and also did like dance music, and we kind of just made a ton of bootlegs and stuff.
Yeah, word.
That was yeah. I mean I like it's so crossover now, like with mainstream hip hop anyway. Probably not so much like the underground stuff, but like like I'll play a Post Malone tune. If it's a bootleg or whatever and stuff, it's, I guess that sort of barriers kind of break down. I think when stuff gets popular anyway, doesn't it really? Yeah.
But then you would play a remix version of that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't play like the original.
I mean, I
Post
have
Malone.
sometimes I have played a couple tunes like the original, if that's like the vibe I'm going for, like end of the set, like Cool It Down or something like that. But generally, just get the acapella and it gets reworked.
So do you do many remixes where you've remixed like a hip hop acapella?
I've like done Simon Says Pharaoh Monk. That's probably my favorite all-time tune, dude. Like I think I've remixed it 3 times because I was just like, I'm just about to do another remix of it actually. So this would be like my 4th remix of it.
Yeah,
I've done one every couple of years because I just love that track, man.
Oh yeah, it's
Just
classic.
a classic,
man.
yeah, dude.
And then, so when you remix a tune like that, for example, I mean, how does the process of, sampling, because with like a hip hop tune, you produce a hip hop tune and you jack a sample from over here. These days, you got to pay to clear the sample.
Yeah, I mean, these are just like bootlegs. They're just kind of like for my DJ sets.
So that's just, you're not releasing them.
Nah.
You just use them. So does that mean that you just use them for your own personal keep and you just use them in your sets?
Usually I'll just play it in my set for a bit and then like maybe give it out for like free download.
So other DJs and shit can use it.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, word. And then I guess the last question that I had, and this is kind of based on a comment that you made where you said you had a gig at and then you got sacked because you weren't bringing enough people through. Now, I remember when I've done my trips to Melbourne, I mean, it happens everywhere, but the term that I learned over there was Doorlist DJs. Like I had, certain people say to me, oh, come play at this club or come do this, and then would be like, by the way, it's okay if you don't bring 50 people. This isn't a Doorlist DJ thing. I guess, what's your take on that? Because I remember the days before social media. So... it really was, and it was before Serato and, technology obviously wasn't what it was now. So you really had to like invest money into buying the records, and then like you got no money to go
actually
out.
DJ.
Yeah, like you got no money to go out now because you just spent all your checks on records. So you're forced to stay in your room for hours.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you got good.
Yeah.
And then once you got good, that's how you'd get the gigs. Because not everyone had access to the music because you actually had to buy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now with internet download and laptops and everything, the whole part of, the artistic part of it, I think, has been lost a bit because now this guy has got the same songs as this guy because everyone signed up to the same record pool, right? So I noticed that like once social media came along, it's probably always been, they want people to bring people. But I kind of feel like as social media has kind of, really hit the world, there's been a huge emphasis on this so-called, Doorlist DJ approach, as opposed to perhaps what it traditionally was. I mean, what's your take on that? And do you think that there's a lot of that exists?
Oh man, for sure. I guess like if there's business, and at the end of the day is you can look at it any way you want, but like a club's a business, if they can get someone that's going to come in and bring them 100 mates, they're going to do it. But I guess that's where like the whole thing of like being a producer and that motivation is where like it motivates you. Because I was like, I knew I was never going to be that guy that can bring along 100 mates to a club. I grew up in a town of 500 people, dude. If all of them came, like it still wouldn't even be enough.
It's only half of HQ.
Yeah, it's only half full in the main room at HQ, so that was a problem. So I actually had to learn how to make my music, and hopefully people would like it, and then come and see me play for that reason, And I think it does. I know. I think like you can get discouraged by it, but it gives you that you've got an outlet as well for people to actually hear your music now. Like which wasn't there. Like if you wanted to put a track out maybe 10 years ago, or maybe longer than that, before social media and stuff, like you'd have to get it signed to a record label, and whereas now you can kind of build up a social media following,
by yourself.
And I think is like one thing, like I guess goes out to like anyone that's sort of upcoming and gets taken, man, this guy over here is getting blah 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 for blah, and I'm getting shit. It's like just remember that like you can grind it out and you can get there, and other guys have done it, like don't let what someone else has discourage you from what you want to do, like be yourself and just do it really good.
The lesson. 927. Oh yeah.